This is The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. We're here on PC, taking a look at this controversial and intense follow-up to The Last of Us. So be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So when this game first released at the tail end of the PlayStation 4 era, I was kind of blown away. We were reviewing this, or at least I had access to review it about a month ahead of launch, and I was just consistently blown away at the scale and the technical prowess that this game actually provided on that hardware. It was pushing it to the absolute limit and delivering something incredible. And then we got a remaster, which is what this base version is kind of like coming from. And I was like, too soon. But at the same time, there were technical improvements, and it was cool to take a look at it on the PlayStation 5. I've seen it on the PlayStation 5 Pro. But I was always really curious to see how far things could go seeing this on PC. So, well, I've been playing it, obviously, and let's dive in and talk about what this has to offer. So this is being played on the RTX 4090 with an i9-13900K, and yeah, it's really genuinely impressive. This is a very, very good, very extensive port of the game to the PC platform with various PC options and improvements to just allow us to enjoy this game to the max. So in this area, which is my testing spot, I played quite a bit into this. This game is incredibly lengthy, like insanely lengthy. So this is my testing ground. This is my favorite area to kind of like showcase the beauty of the game, the technical stuff of the game. I love this space because this game introduces these slightly open world hubs. So it's not a fully open world game, but it gives you the sense of open world, as it has these areas where it's a little bit more free to explore. We'll talk about that a bit more later, and the story of the game as well. So we're kind of showing off the settings here as far as display, frame rate options, and everything like that. This game is just chock full of everything. So right now we're kind of showcasing just quickly some of the technical details, how it kind of runs for performance, when it comes to the different levels of DLSS being applied, and we're going to be adjusting things here or there. And this was a review build of the game too. It does seem like when I switched the frame gen on and off, it would crash the game, so basically I have to do a hard cut in a sec here to show off more of the settings, but yeah, basically, well, running it with frame gen is fine. It's just whether if you switch it during the game, it seemed to cause a problem with my settings and everything like that. But no, it seems like no matter how you go about it, you are getting like high frames, like really, like genuinely impressive. Now, if you do switch from like, okay, we've got DLSS, we're going to balanced, we're going to whatever, you know, there's going to be droppages in regards to like how many frames you're getting. It seems to be about a 10 to 20 difference depending on like if you're going from performance mode to balance mode to quality mode. I largely play it on balanced mode, and I think as you can tell in the corner there as far as like frame rate goes, it's more than good enough. Like you are genuinely getting a great experience in terms of visual fidelity and frame rate. Like you are really getting something great here. And even when you go to turn off the setting as far as like DLSS being off, you're still getting something over your bounds of 60. And then, you know, you can have your frame gen on or off. And it's really up to you and how you want to approach and play the game as far as your settings go. But yeah, with the 49 here and stuff, you could play it just like everything at high settings, and you're pretty much good to go, and you're getting tons of frames. So here we're adjusting the texture settings so you can kind of see the details. It is sort of funny though, because when you switch to like low versus high, like there is a difference, but it's also sort of like I was somewhat expecting more of a gap between like just how good it looks even at like low settings. I was like, wow, this is really genuinely impressive just in terms of how much like stuff this game has going on in it. It really is quite amazing. And then yeah, you get all kinds of settings here, you know, like your screen space shadows, your lighting, your ambient occlusion, All that kind of stuff is for you to choose what you want. Or you can just have high, low, very high, all that kind of stuff. All those settings are available here on the PC side of things for you to choose and decide between. And I wanted to show off kind of the best I could, just sort of some of the main options and how you can turn them on or off, and field of view and all that. Like, they got everything here. There's also like HDR support, menu scalability. We've got all the latest technologies: DLSS 3, AMD FSR 3.1, FSR 4 with upscaling and frame gen. There's support for Intel XeSS, full gamepad support. I was playing this with the Xbox controller because I always get a bit of a kick doing that. Full keyboard and mouse mapping, trophy overlay system, and yeah, that's kind of your PC options there. I think it about covers everything. Widescreen, ultra wide support. Yeah, and the full DualSense support as well if you want to feel like the vibration and all the settings of that. But I mean, that's pretty much a basic kind of feature. But other than that, the game all ran perfectly fine. Like, I might have had like a small stutter here or there, which I think was kind of like a loading based. Other than that, but like gameplay wise, everything like that, it just ran perfectly fine from what I noticed. It seems to be a really great port and build of this on PC. I was quite impressed by it. As like, some of the PlayStation stuff, it's been very, very good as far as ports go. Some of it, some of it's had some little issues here or there, but yeah, no, this is a very impressive port, which I assume they wanted to kind of nail because, it is such a big part of their library of games. I mean, it's The Last of Us Part 2. So, okay, we're going to talk about gameplay and then other modes and then kind of work on like story and stuff. So, you're going to see some clips here that are part of the roguelike mode. So, the game has the main story, which follows a revenge tale. There's Abby, who's a super powerful muscle kind of character, going up against our returning like protagonists from the first game. There's been some maturity. Ellie's kind of grown up a bit, and you're sort of dealing with her and Joel having some issues, and Abby kind of gets thrown in there. I'm trying to do this somewhat spoilerish free too, because like I guess some people on PC haven't played it, but yeah, it's very much a revenge plot. Abby after revenge, Ellie after revenge, and then the two of them kind of clashing. The first half of the game is Ellie, and then the second half is Abby, and there's some tonal things there that I want to talk about. So, firstly, which you're seeing some clips from because it shows off a bunch of different environments. This is what they kind of added as like content to sort of justify it being like remastered, is the no return roguelike survival mode. So the idea there is that you do these like runs that take place in different areas, and you kind of unlock different characters and you unlock different settings, and yeah, basically it's like, oh, you're in a hardware store surviving against these waves. Oh, you're in the underground area. Oh, this time you've got a buddy with you fighting and you're trying to survive. So 2 new unlockable no return characters and 4 new unlockable maps to challenge. So that's exciting. Extra content. But yeah, that's just kind of what that is. There's developer commentary in this. There's guitar free play. And lots of accessibility options. Like I said, different skins and different settings too for the game. Lost levels, so you get to see some stages that were early in development and weren't like fully finished and added to the main game. That's a cool extra thing. It was just like they were trying to justify the extra upgrade of everything for this one being like remastered. And it was sort of just like, I don't know. But you get what they were you get what they were going for. Okay, so let's talk about the story. It's been a number of years. Ellie and Joel are settling down. They've got a big town that they're part of. There's a group of survivors. And then a really intense bad thing happens, and we get to see some intense, emotionally driven revenge go on. We get to see Ellie going to Seattle and kind of exploring that place and trying to get, like I said, revenge. And you're just going around just killing a ton of people, but you explored some really intense environments. You meet some warring factions. There's sort of this military type group that Abby belongs to, and then there's this sort of group of more wild individuals that are part of this more mysterious, cult-like in nature crew, and you're kind of caught in the middle of it. And then Ellie's also got this very close to her gal, Dina, that's along for the ride, and there's some stuff going on there. And then, of course, the different characters have different other people they know, and it's a whole journey across this area, visiting places that have been destroyed and that have been lost, and people have come and gone and tried to like make things work. And then of course there's the infected and the dangerous clickers, so you're gonna have to like sneak up behind them and stab those things, and they go all clicky, and you know, you gotta deal with that, and big monster things, and you know, it's familiar things from the first game, but just really, really genuinely expanded upon. And like the first half of the game is just absolutely stellar. Like you're mad, you're amped up, you're behind this narrative of revenge and the emotions behind it, and you understand why the characters are driven for this. And then it just kind of like abruptly sort of stops, and you follow Abby's perspective for the other half of the game. And it's interesting because they really go the extra mile to really aim to humanize and try to get you behind Abby's actions and stuff. And it's like it's been many years since I first played this game, and like it is an incredible technical achievement gaming. Like this game is massive, it is lengthy, it goes on and on and on and on, and there's all kinds of mature narrative and storyline and violence and, you know, emotional human connections, you know, as far as two humans interacting in romantic and interesting ways, pops up throughout the game. So like there is maturity to this, as it should have, because, you know, the first game had that sort of level of like intensity to it. So it makes sense that this one follows that. And it is very realistic. The animations, the visuals, the technical elements of it, the snow, how your characters react and interact with the environment, the crafting of weapons, and the improvements of weapons that you do on crafting benches and stuff. And you know, it is just like the way the lightings kind of work, and everything here is just from a technical standpoint a true. And even today, there's many new games that come out that do not have this level of fidelity, this level of animation quality, this level of realism. The acting talents here are absolutely spectacular. It really is a genuinely immersive, like, next level of gaming. Like, if you, regardless of how you feel about story elements and stuff like that, this game is definitely worth playing, because you genuinely get to see a technical benchmark for video games. Like a genuine spot where you look and you go, this is where gaming is going to be headed down the road, just in terms of, like, for example, like the snow coming off the trees, the footprints, the way you move through the world, all of it. And it's so seamless the whole game through, and it's really amazing. Like, this is an incredibly lengthy game, like tens of hours. Like, it is. The fact that they were able to deliver a storyline over that time period is truly quite remarkable. Like, it really, really genuinely is, like I said, a benchmark for gaming. And like, the first game was impressive, for sure, and I think that one sort of holds stronger just as far as like narrative and everything coming together. But this game is just unreal for some of the visual and technical stuff they were doing, just like back with like the PlayStation 4 launch, where I was just wow. And then seeing this on PC here and being able to amp that up to an even higher degree is truly something special. Like, you are missing out if you're not at least just seeing how this game sort of is and runs on the on the PC platform versus, you know, on PlayStation. It really is quite an achievement. Like, they should be very proud of this game still years later, as it goes toe-to-toe with so many new releases. It's almost excessive, the amount of scale that this one has to it. And that's where we go back to story, and it's kind of like the second half of the game, just like pacing and stuff. It's like you're reliving things that have already happened, and it's just sort of with a character that wasn't quite. I don't know if they do a good enough job of making you rally behind the character, and it's just like, even I have a lot of issues with how this game ends, and like I said, I'm not going to spoil things, I'm not going to dive into it too much. I see where they were going with it, but I'm still not really thrilled by the conclusion of this one or the latter half of this game. I think it really struggles at that portion of the experience. Like, it is a near perfect game, and just like on sheer scale and like technology and performances and story and everything like that, it is a pretty perfect game. But yeah, pacing wise in the latter half, and just like a story that just kind of meanders, and like it's worthwhile, it's interesting, but it almost feels like two games kind of like stuck together. And I can definitely see where some, like, you're into it because you want to know what's going to happen, but you're also sort of just like, what are we doing spending all this time on this latter half? Because like Ellie, she's tough, she's powerful, she kills, but she's not like Abby is just like a brute of like just the physicality of that character, a presence that just like tanks people and creatures, and it's quite a change between the two. But at the same time, it's just sort of like, I just don't know if they quite nailed the perspective there for Abby. I think that was like a bit of a weaker point, and that's where the story just kind of like isn't super well paced and well set up towards that latter half. And I definitely think they were setting up an interesting premise at the start of the game, and I think they just sort of knew what shock value they wanted to go for, and then they didn't really know how to perfectly come up with a way that would get you to see perspectives. And then they're like, oh yeah, and then it's just kind of sort of like, again, even to this day, I definitely have issues with how this all wrapped up. And yeah, I mean, it was a choice, and I'm sure everyone has different opinions, and I'm sure we'll probably talk about it in the comments or whatever, you know. And some people have more extreme thoughts one way or another on things, but for me, it is story, pacing, and just how that narrative is developed. Because I do believe a lot of people get attached. Well, of course they get attached. These are game characters. You spend a lot of time with gaming characters, you're getting to know them. And especially with a story where the characters sort of grow and age across the titles, you do get quite attached. And just seeing how that was all handled is just, it's emotional, it's intriguing, and then it feels stretched out and a little half-baked, and you're just kind of like, oh, I don't know about that. And it just leaves you with a bit of an off kind of vibe, even, again, years later. So I think if you are going to like revisit the game, it's sort of like when the remaster came out. Like, it's tough to really sit there and kind of like work through it, because it still feels so fresh. Like, I'm sure some people, they can't get enough of this stuff and they replay it over and over again. But for me, there are some games where I'm just sort of like, I liked it, I played it, I don't need to work through it again. Like, for instance, there was the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster and stuff, and as you know, they were kind of like remaking it, remastering it, as to say, but like it felt too soon, and that was an even longer gap of time. And it's just, these games are large, they're long, you get a lot out of them, but it is sort of a thing where I don't know if the replayability is fully there for people coming from PlayStation wanting to play it on PC again. But if you do want to see it absolutely just pushing things to the limit, it is quite a visual and technical treat seeing this really get pushed in that. I think that's really quite exciting for people that want to see everything just kind of like, you know, maxed out in this way. If you are a little bit like, oh, I don't know, it's been too soon, you know, that might be a thing for you as well. If you're someone that's just been playing the part 1 on PC and you've been craving part 2, quite a bit of a wait you had to have to be able to enjoy that, but hey, you finally get to experience this game and see what it has to offer. And you know, like I said, I hope this sort of gives you an idea of it. Some of the combat too is just so intense and visceral, where it's like, am I going to make that shot? Like, it's got like a sort of wonkiness on purpose to make you have that intensity and the tension of scenes and whether or not you're going to make it, and difficulty options and settings. And this game really is a great PC port. Like, again, moving past like narrative stuff that you might have issues with and blah blah blah. Like, it technically is good. It's visually insane. It's a stunning visual showcase of gaming. Like, I think this is, I wish every game was at this kind of a level, because I guess maybe it wouldn't make it feel as special, but this is genuinely a benchmark game for the gaming. Like, this is one of those ones that I think in the long term of you playing video games, you'll go back and be like, wow, the things they achieved with this game were crazy. And you get a great PC port, which is fantastic.